Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Zero Hakathos here, and I am going to talk about the Simon Necronomicon, how the magic is legit. Uh, Talk about some of the beings that I've already kind of invoked, and how the book is subtly racist. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about that very soon. All right. So a lot of people who are into magic and studying it, they think that the more that you pay for a book, the better the magic is going to be. I've had times when I've gotten books that were expensive and they were garbage, to me anyway. Um, but there are books out there that are on the low low, you know, and the magic is legit. And the Simon Necronomicon is one of them. I got this book not too long ago for a little over $9. It was less than $10. Um, and I've had the book before, but when I had it, I wasn't at the level that I am at now. So I wasn't able to understand it. And I kind of looked at it and be like, oh, I'm not doing this because I was taking a lot of things literally and not understanding the signs and symbols. But now, studying it, I know what to do. And it is an amazing book in some ways, but like I said, there are some issues that I have with the point of view of, let's say, the mad Arab, because that's the perspective that the author, Simon, whoever that is, writes this Necronomicon in. So we're going to talk more about that. But, when this first came out, it was very taboo. I think it made a lot of parents poop themselves, and with good reason, because the magic is legit. All right, so when it comes to the Necronomicon, even though it has the same name as the fabled book in the H.P. Lovecraft stories, uh, excuse me, it does not have the same creatures or pantheon that the Lovecraft stories have. Instead, it is a book of Sumerian magic. Okay, now even though it takes from the Sumerian pantheon, it also speaks about Egypt. It hints about Egypt, but Egypt took from a more ancient civilization, which was Sumeria. So, there on page 5, one of the hints that it drops, it says, "For this is the book of the dead, the book of the Black Earth." All right, we know that Egypt has its own book of the dead. All right, but then it goes on to say the book of the Black Earth. Well, Egypt, uh, known as Kemet back then, was known as the place of the Black Earth. It was known for its very fertile soil. In fact, all of Africa was called Kemet because of this fact. And it was also known as the land of the people with the black skin. Now, another thing it talks about is it talks about this place where this mad Arab is talking about these demons and gods coming from of old. And it says that the habitation of men are seen and surveyed by that ancient race of gods and demons from a time before time. Okay, so we know that um, Africa is a place where supposedly civilization got started. A lot of knowledge came from there. But the thing that is screwed up is that this author, or the Mad Arab, as the point of view is from, is talking about how these uh, entities are demons, and talks about how they're evil and he's being driven mad by these things. And later on in the book, it talks about how he sat with these different demons, talked to them. You take their knowledge, but yet you demonize them, and it's like, how does that make any sense? You're an asshole. Um, One of the things that I do like about this is I do believe that this information also comes from the Watchers. I've been working with the Watchers, and I do believe that they were all over the world, and there is tales that they established ancient cultures such as Egypt, Mesopotamia, Sumeria, Atlantis. So in here it talks about the sigil of the Watcher, and this is where you summon this thing that's called the Watcher, and it's from an ancient race, and it's supposed to protect you during sleep. And I really think that this book is indicating that most of this magic should be done in sleep, because when it talks about inscribing the different sigils on different metals and stuff like that, like really there's no way that it's not practical, but it's like if you were doing certain magics awake, why would it have you um summon an entity that will watch over your body as you sleep? Like really, all of this is supposed to be done in astral, and it can be done in astral, all of it. And through your use of imagination and will, um, it can be done successfully in your mind. And that's what a lot of people who start on the path of magic don't understand. Like, you don't need all these physical things. All you need is your imagination, your mind, your sanity, and a place to meditate. This book talks about the lifestyle of somebody who is on the spiritual path realistically. And this is one thing that I like. It warns you off the bat and tells you people in your life are going to fall off. Like, you're going to be living a lonely and painful life. Um, just a quote starting with 13 says, I wandered about the countryside in search of the key of the secret of knowledge that had been given to me. It's like you're not going to have any home. Uh, and it was a painful and lonely journey, during which time I took no wife, called no house or village my home, and dwelt in various countries, often in caves or in the deserts, learning several tongues as a traveler might learn them, to bargain with the tradespeople and learn of their news and customs. Now, back then, you would have to travel to get different knowledge, because we didn't have the internet and we couldn't, order books off of Amazon and stuff like that. So you may not have to learn different tongues, but you will have to, in a sense, learn different languages where you would have to see signs and symbols and you would have to interpret those. So that is part of the life of a so-called magician. It says the friends of my youth deserted me and I them. Okay, so like when you start to change, people are not going to understand your change. They're not going to understand you. It's going to scare those people, and they're going to fall off in your life, and you're not going to want to be around those people, because like, who wants to be around somebody who doesn't respect your changes or try to understand you? It says, I wandered as a beggar, being fed from town to town as the local people saw fit, often being stoned instead of threatened, and instead and threatened with imprisonment. Okay, on occasion I was able to convince some learned man that I was a sincere scholar, and was thereby permitted to read ancient records in which the details of necromancy, sorcery, magic, and alchemy are given. Not many people are going to listen to you because they're stuck in this state of mind that they've been programmed to believe is reality. Very few are going to listen to you, and the people who are not listening to you are going to have a violent reaction. A lot of them do, because they have this sometimes religious mentality. You have a lot of atheists out here who don't believe in anything, and you know when something threatens their reality, then they do what they can to protect that. Another thing I didn't like is that you take these entities and you demonize them, and originally they weren't demons. For example, Lamashtu. I talked to Lamashtu, and she said that she used to be a god of art, a goddess of art, and she's like super beautiful. But Lamashtu these days is seen as a vampiric spirit that kills pregnant women, and children. And she was like, when I told her this is what humans believe about you, it was like she was surprised. Next thing that the Necronomicon talks about, psychedelic magic. I mean, right here, page 15, says, with the assistance of a strange grass. I wonder what that strange grass is. That grows wild in certain parts of Mashu, and with which I had unwittingly built a fire before the rock. That grass that gives the mind great power to travel tremendous distances into the heavens and also into the hells. Okay. So that's great. This book, it also talks about planetary magic. If you go to page 19, and this is, let me see if I can read this chapter right here, of the Zonai and their attributes. It talks about the gods of the stars are 7, and to me that represents the gods of the 7 days of the week. Each day is named after a god. And then it also talks about the 7 colors, which I attribute to the chakras. If you look at the chakras, they are they're different colors, and it talks about the light ladder and how the passing of the gates. This is referring to basically the Kundalini, and it talks about how when you work through the different spheres, if you only work up to the first 3 spheres and stop and you're good, that's evil. We know that the bottom spheres, the first one is definitely material, the second one is sexual, and then I believe the third has to do with protection. So the bottom chakras deal a lot with mundane things and pleasure, even though there are other uses for sexuality. So it says that when you start this, you have to go above and beyond. So you have to work all the chakras. But if you do study about the chakras, then you will learn that there are chakras that are outside the physical body as well. And that is why you have to go above and beyond to tap into those things. But you definitely have to work up to the crown chakra, because that's how you connect with the higher realms. When it came to the sigil magic, that was the best part, because I'm used to working with sigils during dream magic, and I've contacted, they have a sigil in there for Lilith. I was dealing with a spirit called Tuku, who is a helper of Marduk. Now, when it comes to Tuku, his energy is very powerful, and I think I already explained it where I was talking about Lamashtu, and Lamashtu had to help me get his power under control. What other sigil did I use? Luga. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Luga. I felt different, but I didn't really have any visions or anything like that. So I don't think I was really attuned to that specific entity. And then I also used the sigil for Pazuzu, which is famous for showing up in the movie The Exorcist. But he is not the way they portray him. Of course, Hollywood is always going to miss the mark because they want to make money. But he is known to be a protector of the children of Lilith. Okay, so if you're dealing with Lilith, like I said before, in some way you probably belong to her. So Pazuzu is good to have as a protector if you're working the kind of magic where about working with demons. Okay, so he seems to be a pretty lighthearted spirit. But overall, when it comes to Necronomicon, if you know what you're doing and you know about the signs and symbols and you're a little bit experienced, then this book is good to have. If you're into Sumerian, the Sumerian pantheon, Enki, Enlil, the others, Inanna, Ereshkigal, then I would definitely recommend Necronomicon. There are other books on Sumerian gods, but this is affordable, and this is definitely the way to go. A lot of the information in here, I believe, is useful. Like I said, it's very honest. I believe that the book is very honest, and it's just interesting to read. A lot of people are looking for a Necronomicon that is accurate to the H.P. Lovecraft lore, but like if you're a real occultist, you're going to look for something that is practical and useful. And remember that rituals don't always have to be done physically. Okay, so stimulate your imagination, work on that, and that way your magic is going to be 100% better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. I hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, and I'll talk to you later. Deuces.